mentioned the 132 indicators, which is the first year. This is 4 years, I think now, for the use of the IndiStar tool for action planning. That's what we were kind of presented with. The one thing that the state of Washington did is they said, we're going to focus, you need to have use 7 indicators, and they kind of outlined those indicators for us. That was the first year. The second year, what they did is they essentially worked together with Title I at the state level, and they went in and identified those indicators that could be used. There's 14, I think, that you assess, and then you can choose 7 that would work for Title I school-wide and Title I, oh gosh, what's targeted assistance buildings. So you have buildings that are Title I school-wide, and that means that we have so many kids. If you have 50% or above poverty rate, you can say, we're going to just identify all of our students in this building as needing Title I services. It gives you much more flexibility in the way you serve students. If you're a targeted assistance building, you must rank order all your students, and then you serve a certain percentage. And only those students can be served using your Title I dollars. So most schools, I always say to schools, you're better off being a Title I school-wide, really, because that gives you some flexibility. So that, you know, as kids come in and out, you can serve them better. You can, as kids test out, it's just easier. You don't have to go to the next student on the list. I mean, you pretty much know, and those things change throughout the school year, and sometimes you're not targeting the right kids. So anyway, that's what the state did, is they made it a lot easier, because that first year people were operating with 2 different plans. And I know a lot of schools do operate under a school improvement plan and then a Title I school-wide plan. And that gets, then nobody's looking at plans. How many of you have a school improvement plan that you are actively using as a staff in your building? Wow, this is overwhelming. It is a requirement, and I'll never forget last year I worked in a new building and I walked in, let's look at your school improvement plan. They didn't have one. They hadn't had one for years. And technically, every school in the state of Washington is supposed to have a school improvement plan. And most of it is, okay, we'll just update it from last year, put it back on the shelf, and nobody knows what's going on. And so part of the role when we come in as coaches is to say, okay, what is the vision here? Does everybody know where you're going? Because that is so critical. Whether you're a high school, you know, an elementary school, an alternative program of some kind, what is the vision for this building? How are we all going to work together to make sure that this vision is achieved? So this is one way of doing it. And so the first step, as Janine said, is assessing the indicators. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you into a plan. And I'm just going to click on, I'll just click on monitor here. And the other thing I like to talk about, I work with 3 schools this year, and 2 of them, one of them I've worked, this is their 4th year. Another one, this is their 2nd year. Another one is their 2nd year, but I'm the new coach this year. I wasn't there for their planning last year. So essentially, this is the one that has been going for 4 years, and it is a Title I school-wide building. It's a junior high. And so, as you can see, there are some required indicators, and I'll just kind of scroll down so you can see. One that's required is under Principle 1, and that's leadership. And essentially, it's I have always encouraged principals to use this one as part of the plan that they are working with their superintendent for the evaluation process. So that they can, so they're not working again. I have goals with the superintendent and I have goals for the plan. Let's make them merge together. You can collect evidence then that you can show your superintendent or whoever's evaluating you. And you can collect that and you can show them this is what we're doing in our school improvement plan. So you have a very concrete way of showing what you're doing. Principle 2 really aligns with professional development. And as you can see out to the side out here, some of these, the expected ones are the ones that are required by the state. If you are a priority school, a focus school, a SIG school, which is a step above even a priority, and then a required action district or school. So as you can see, there's a little like ELL. This would be one that you could use for if you really have a high percentage of ELL students. It's expected in the plan. It can be used for a Title I school-wide or a targeted assistance. So you can, if you're a Title I school-wide building, address this indicator, show how you're going to achieve it, and then you upload your evidence. And I'll talk about that in a minute. So you can see the indicators as you go down. Then you have a parent and community involvement. You have safe, ensure the school environment is safe and supportive. And there's several that you can choose from there. Some of them, again, required and not. And you can see here, as they went through on this plan, this was their first year. They identified this, they started it. Then the next year they said, this one can be used for Title I school-wide. So they switched over to this one, and it's kind of a required one. So you can see, this is one that's been completed, and so that means they say, we're there, we're to the point where we can sustain that, and we have evidence to support that. So this kind of guides the work, and I always say, there's a leadership team in each building that works with the principal, and I'm the coach. I'm there most of the time, but not all the time, when they work on their plan, as they're monitoring. And the recommendation is that they're coming in and monitoring their plan on about once a month at least. So they can say, how's it going? The other thing, this is a living document. It isn't this, okay, we've got it, it's going to sit here online, and we'll forget about it for the whole year. No, you're monitoring. How is it going in achieving the goal that you might have set? Are the tasks that you have identified, and I'll open up one just as an example here so you can see some tasks. Let me see. And this is one, they are still working on the goal this year. So it's not fully developed, but you can see here, these are some things that have been done in this building so that dealing with a safe and supportive school. And so you can see some of the things that they have laid out to do. You can see when they've completed them, and they've added some more. They're hanging on to this one because this is such a big piece of their total plan in the building. This was a building that was struggling, was challenged really with a lot of school suspensions, a lot of discipline issues, and so they really worked hard, not this last year but the year before, to put together a plan and implemented it last year, and really reduced the number of referrals. I think they went, I can't remember the numbers, but really reduced their suspensions. And then the DNF list went. I mean, it was, to me, it was really overly concerning to me, the number of D's and F's, and they vastly reduced that too. So, you know, they worked very hard on this one, but you can see these are tasks that they have laid out for achieving the goal that they wanted, and they're in the process of changing that goal right now, so you don't see it well developed at all. But anyway, this is what a plan would look like, and you do that for each one of the indicators. Any questions? And you're looking at all the time, are you getting to where you need to be? Are you going to get to where you want to be at the end of the school year or whenever your target date is? And if not, what are you going to do about it? What is going well? What is not going well? What do we need to do to fix it? And those are the constant conversations all the time about it. Now, can I say with 100%, I don't know, that everybody in the school knows about this plan? The whole plan? No, I can't. Well, the one thing I can say is that everybody has had input in some parts of the plan. They've worked on different parts of the plan. When they put together their advisory program, there were other members of the staff that were working on that plan to put together their advisory program, which is very proactive. Making sure every day kids are ready for class with their planners, their dress code is checked, everything is done. So everybody had input in putting some of these pieces together. And then when they did the whole advisory plan that laid out very clearly what that was going to look like, there were other members, not just the leadership team, working on that. So, you know, it kind of spreads out. Could every staff member tell you what the goals here are? Not probably, but there's certain goals that they could tell you what they are. So to me, when I've experienced school improvement plans in other buildings, nobody even knows where to find it so many times. So anyway, this is something to look at. Now I'm going to show you how you can upload evidence, because I think one of the things that we have not done well in education is we haven't gone back to look at, okay, is what we're doing actually working? And do we have evidence, concrete evidence, that it's making a difference? I don't think we have done that very much. You might be able to say, oh, our test scores went up. Well, that's great. Okay, what is it we were doing that made that happen? Or things have plateaued. Why is that happening? Is what sometimes we can't even go back and look at. What have we been doing or not been doing that's making that happen? Or if things start going the other way. Sometimes we have no clue because everybody's doing their own thing out there. There's no real consistency and not everybody's working together. So I think a lot of times we have no clue as to why something might be working or it isn't. So it's something to think about, and it's something to keep in mind when someday if you're the building principal, how am I going to bring all of these people together toward a common vision so that we actually make a difference for kids? What is that going to look like, and how do you do that? So this is one tool that allows you to do it. It's very visual, and like I said, it's a working document that you can be using all the time. You can get people involved. Schools that have Industar have a passcode that anybody actually can be on staff can be allowed to get in there.